I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Awesome. So, yeah, we've got people joining us. Let me just quickly introduce you and our episode. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to another episode of BizWiz Season 2, a series of Instagram lives where we talk to upcoming DTC brands. And in our Season 2, we are talking to upcoming sustainable DTC brands. And as part of that, we have today a very, very inspirational speaker. I am personally very inspired by her hard work. I mean, if I had to introduce her in one line, I would probably say that she's, an absolute rock star because she not only manages her business single-handedly, but she also has a full-time job. And to be able to do that so well, I mean, if that's not inspirational, I don't know what is. So, welcome, Srija, to this episode. Thank you so much for talking to us. And over to you. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Thanks, Nikhil. Thanks for having me today. To talk about myself, hi everyone. I am Shrija Mondol. So, I am the founder of Bumblebee Candles India. So, Bumblebee Candles, like the name suggests, is a candle brand which has an inception in the year of 2020. So, I founded my brand in Calcutta, but now, we are moved and we are settled in Bangalore. About my personal life, I have done my master's in economics, and post that, I got into the analytics field. So currently, I am working as a lead analyst with a top tech unicorn in Bangalore. So simultaneously, I also, I'm running this brand. Um, that's more or less about, a
That's
brief on me.
absolutely wonderful. So, tell us a little bit about, Bumblebee Candles. Let's maybe start off with, why the name Bumblebee.
Right. So when you think about wax, right? So if you think naturally, when you eat
Right,
honey, right? Bees give you honey, bees also give you wax. So that was, the main idea behind the entire Bumblebee name. And
Mm-hmm.
candles is just, it signifies the brand, like what I'm actually selling, right? So that people know exactly what my products are without having to think
Right,
much about around, the naming part. And India is, I believe, so I'll give you a brief around, when I started and why I actually decided to have my country also along with it. So, like I
right,
mentioned, right, I started in 2020. And if you look at all the, small businesses like me who are into candle making, so a
right.
lot of them, basically, majority of them, started, say, in the year 2021. And so when I say this, I am particularly, talking about statement candles, right? Or sculptural candles, not the jar
Right,
ones, because jar candles are something very classic, and we have, seen it since the time we were small kids, right?
right,
So at that point of time, we did not have, at least I never saw, like, brands selling statement candles. So that
mm-hmm.
is why I had a lot of Western influence on
Right,
deciding, the type of products that I'll be selling, their availability at that time in the Indian market.
right.
And because of these factors, Bumblebee Candles India,
That's
to,
lovely.
make people aware that, these kind of things can be found in India as well.
Correct, correct. I think that's a very important point that you make. That having your country name along with your brand name, I think it gives you a, uh, it stands out. It does. So when you were speaking about candles, there was something called jar candles and the other candles, right? Could you maybe talk a little bit about that for people who you're not too aware of the different kind of candles that are actually available out there?
Yes, absolutely. So the jar candles, I would say, is the reason why I started my brand and why I specifically, focused on having statement candles. So
Right.
I remember, like, one time back in 2020 only, I received a
Mm-hmm.
gift from my friend, and then that was like a hamper of, handmade products. So it
Correct.
had a mix of a jar candle and then some soaps, and it had a
Mm-hmm.
small statement candle also. So that kind of, that caught my attention the most, to speak
Mm-hmm.
in all honesty, because that was something very unique, right? I won't go in details around the finishing or the quality because that is
Right.
a lot in the nascent stage. But the idea, right? Like, why this?
Mm-hmm.
So, and why not a jar candle? Because if you see right now, there are like very big established brands which focus only on jar candles and they're doing really well, right?
Right.
So people have that awareness around, jar candles and the reason why you use that because of the, aromatic features, because of how they use maybe soy wax, right?
Right. Right.
So from there, I kind of started thinking like, okay, so then I actually started searching up, right, and tried understanding like what all brands, right, sell these kind of sculptural candles or statement candles. So when I
Right.
say statement or sculptural candles, these are they come in specific designs and shapes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it can be an owl shape, it can be a rose shaped candle, it can be a rainbow shaped candle, it can be
Correct.
anything, right? So, and to my surprise, there wasn't. I couldn't find brands who would actually sell like proper sculptural candles. And
Right.
then because of Instagram now, I feel that we are very well connected
Mm-hmm.
worldwide, right? If you see,
Right.
it's
Right.
very
Yeah.
easy to search for products or different brands that sell different types of products, and it's very easy to make yourself aware of what is there and what is not. So
Correct.
looking at the Indian market, I realized that okay, this is a space where maybe I can explore, right? And again, like honestly, it started as a hobby in 2020 when I was really intrigued by by that statement candle. It was an owl-shaped candle, right? And then it really impressed me, and I thought that okay, let me see how can I make candles by myself. And honestly, it all started with R&D, like a lot of research behind it, a lot of trials, a lot of failures, right?
Right. Right.
And then it somehow clicked. It actually started, clicking more from 2021, say mid of second quarter, because at
Okay.
that time, what happened was people started getting aware of, these Pinterest type of candles, right?
Correct.
Which are very
Yeah.
aesthetic.
Right.
So the demand increased a lot, because of which
Right.
there was a kind of a boom, if you see, in
Right.
the in the candle business space.
Right.
So that is where I started. That was my inspiration, and that was how the brand name came up. And that is all. Like I started selling on Instagram.
Okay.
In between, I tried the marketplace also. I mean, the Facebook marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
It was not much of a success for me in person
Okay.
because I feel the type of people or my audience, target audience, right? It's more
Right.
niched in Instagram as compared to Facebook. So
Right.
the marketplace did not really work out. So I gave my entire focus on Instagram only, and then I
Right.
started, working on my brand.
Wonderful. Okay. Okay. So, in terms of chronology, if I had to understand, you said that you started it off as a hobby, and somewhere in mid 2021, when I would assume most people were spending a lot of time at home, and as you very rightly mentioned, that because of the internet and because of Instagram and Pinterest and all of that, everybody's connected globally and they have a lot of exposure to everything that's happening around the globe. So that's when, the boom happened. So did you then decide to actually pursue this as a proper business, or, during the course of, it becoming a hobby and you actually enjoying it, you had anyway, made up your mind that, what, this is something that I would probably want to do, as a, on the side, or, like a side hustle, or maybe, something like that. Well, did it happen before that or after that?
It happened before that, honestly, because I started selling on Instagram from end of October onwards, right? So
Okay.
this hobby thing started sometime, I believe, in the month of April or May, back in 2020, right?
All right.
That time it was mostly on, understanding like, okay, so I believe if you're selling something, you should know what you're selling, like, and
Right.
there has to be a certain amount of honesty with which you sell, be it like a product or be it a service, right? So I was not very keen on rushing into it and like immediately like starting it just because I maybe got hold of one or two fancy designs. So
Correct.
from May to October was the transition, right?
Okay.
So I
Okay.
started as a hobby, and then I made like a few batches, and I would give it, to my friends and family to try them out, and I would collect feedback, and at the same time do research on the vendors and the types of wax that is available and I could use. And then in October, I felt I was ready, right? I was ready to actually at least show my products to a broader audience, right? And
Right.
make them available for purchase. So that
Right.
was when I actually, worked on the brand logo, name, and everything, and set up the Instagram, handle, and started
Correct.
uploading pictures so that if people are interested, they would reach out to me. But then again, in that course of time, what I realized was, very frankly speaking, if you look at the prices, right, like candles in India, right, it falls under luxury commodities, correct?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the price of any jar candle, it's on an average 700, 1000, right? So
Right.
that was one more motive that I had. It was one to make statement candles more available,
Mm-hmm.
right, to the people, and at the same time democratize this entire space so that people don't have to pay a hefty amount, right?
Right.
Just so
Right.
that they can have an experience of a very unique product. So
Right.
that was again a very major driver for me, and I believe that is why. Not going directly on the price points, but yes, that is a major factor. I do keep that in mind when I'm running this business. My purpose
Right.
is to make candles available for everyone, right? To introduce candles, as a lifestyle product and not as a
Right.
luxury product that not everyone can afford them. If you
Correct.
like it, there is always something that will be in your budget, right? So
Right.
that was like again one of the main motives that led me to start this journey and strategize my entire business model.
Okay, that's wonderful. So in the entire scheme of things, did like making that transition towards it being sustainable candles, was that a very conscious decision from the beginning, or through the course of your research you found out that because I'm pretty sure there might be other challenges that might have come your way in terms of you're procuring materials or pricing it a certain way depending on so all of those things, I'm pretty sure, were part of your research. But the decision to actually make this business a sustainable one, was that a conscious decision from the beginning, or at a later point?
Right. That's a great question, I would say, Nikhil, because it came with time, right?
Right.
To answer your question, very practically. So I did not have that much, what do I say, exposure, right, as to what are the possibilities. I did try out a lot of things. So see, there is always a trade-off, okay? So
Right.
the trade-off that you do here is that you choose a more sustainable input, and then you have to trade off maybe the finish of the product or something else, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So as my journey progressed, my brand developed, and I started focusing more on what do I say, like the impact, right? So when
Right.
someone lights a candle from Bumblebee Candles India, what is the impact, right? So when I say impact, it shouldn't only be restricted to your personal experience or the customer's personal experience. That is, of course, that's like a major part of it. But at the same time, we need to understand that what are we doing to our surroundings, right?
Correct.
So that did come, but I would still say that within the first 6 to 7 months of my business, I started moving towards sustainability, and I replaced all my waxes with soy wax only. So and then right now, even if you see, 90% of my packaging is fully biodegradable and recyclable, and it's made of paper. So So I'm still moving towards attaining 100% journey in terms of packaging. But when I
Mm-hmm.
talk in terms of my products, it's very environmental conscious, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
compared to the candles that you see on the stores or locally available candles that you see, right? They are mostly made of paraffin, right? And
Okay.
paraffin, if you have to ask me what is that, it is basically a byproduct of petroleum. So that
Okay.
itself speaks a lot about, the raw material that I'm using, or
Right.
rather, I have seen a lot of other brands also still use it. But again, it's a choice, and you need to consciously make that choice, right? So
Right.
even if that impacts your margins, right, you have to still make that choice. So I made the choice, and I feel comfortable doing that and going. I mean, it is like just a, what do I say? There's no looking back in
Right.
making this environmentally conscious driven decision.
Correct. I think this is a conversation or a topic that comes up, very often. And actually, every time we talk to a sustainable, business owner, that, it's a very, I mean, it's obviously a very conscious decision that you have to make. That, this is a certain model that I'm going to follow for my business, whether or not, I'm going to take a hit on the margins, but it is something that, you choose to do. So yeah, I mean, that obviously has all my respect, and I'm pretty sure everybody who understands what that actually means to the environment, I'm sure you have their respect as well. Wonderful. So I was so I was wondering, in terms of research, when I'm pretty sure, considering that you are the sole person who manages everything top to bottom, I'm pretty sure you might have run into multiple challenges during your research, and especially because you started it out as a hobby, and then transitioning into sustainability, and making it a full-fledged business. I'm pretty sure there might have been many challenges that you might have faced at the at the nascent stages. So like, maybe if you could talk to us a little bit about that, and how you overcame them, and you know yeah.
Right. So I mean, to talk about it very honestly, like a major chunk, okay, of my time before I started my brand went behind R&D. And R&D is, I think, a segment which no business should ever skip. Because
Right.
right now, what you see is, you see a lot of these, what do I say, people who are already like established and are artists. They take live sessions or live classes, right, where you're taught how to make these things. Back at that time, this honestly wasn't that freely available, right? So
Right.
like I said, when you're trying to sell a product, you should know what you're selling. And you can only know what you're selling only if you, I mean, know the product in and out, right? So if I
Correct.
had to talk about waxes, there are like so many different types of waxes available right now, right? If I had to name a few, there is paraffin, Iran wax, soy wax, then there is, what do I say, this beeswax, yeah. So
Right.
beeswax, right? So there are plenty like this. Then there is microcrystalline wax, gel wax, right? And unless you try out different products, you don't really know like how the finishing would come out to be. In a jar
Right.
candle, what happens is when you burn the candle, it melts and stays within that jar, right?
Hmm.
So you can remelt it. But when you're melting, say, a sculptural candle, there's no way you can collect the molten wax, right? And there is
Right.
no way that if you are spending, say, 250 rupees on a candle, and if it like burns out in 40 minutes, it doesn't work. It's not optimal. So
Correct.
understanding like what is the burn time, I always say this, candle making is a science, because there are many things that you need to know, right? When you make, it's not about taking wax slabs, melting it, putting some aroma oil, just pouring it. It's much beyond that, because you need to
Right.
understand, right, what is the actual melting point of the wax, and the melting points differ across different types of waxes, right?
Right.
At what temperature do you need to add, the fragrance oil, right? How long do you need to stir it? How, fast or slow do you need to stir it to
Correct.
avoid bubbles? How do you pour it? Do you pour it just like how you pour water, or do you pour it slow? and then lastly, the wick or the candle thread, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
that has to be very proportionate to the diameter of the candle. So it took a lot, okay, of R&D,
Mm-hmm.
because the time when I started, right, the challenge was there were no proper established vendors, right, who
Mm-hmm.
sold
Correct.
those silicon molds, which helps me make these candles. So the real struggle was there, right? Identifying a vendor, because I had to do a lot of research and try out different things. And Amazon at one point was not an option, right? Amazon for beginners, for a hobby, it works, but it does not
Right.
work after beyond a certain point, right? So yes, R&D was a major section of me coming up with, the products that I sell right now.
Right.
And with R&D comes investment. That was also like, you know, one space where I had to heavily invest, because I was trying out different things, right, and different
Correct.
vendors.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. So, you've already spoken about how you'd want to, sort of establish um, Bumblebee Candles India, and even candles as a lifestyle product and not a luxury product. So, like through your business, how is it safe for us to assume that that would be like one of the principles that, or the value that your business stands for?
Yes. So, see, like I said, awareness is important,
Right.
and creating awareness is also a part of it, right? You can't expect people to know everything, right? If
Mm-hmm.
it's like, unless they see, right, it's hard to understand that what is out there, right? So
Correct.
my my main motive is to bring it out and place it in front of the world that, okay, this is a segment. It falls under home decor. It falls under, what do you say, self care,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a lifestyle product. So these are your available options. And also my candles are aromatic. So people don't really have to use like a jar candle. I'm not saying that they are, replaceable. I mean, you can replace
Right.
them with jar candles, because
Correct.
that's a very subjective decision that you make, right?
Right.
That's purely subjective, and that's that just depends on the customer, right, more than anything
Right.
else, because it's their choice.
Right.
But yes, if I were to say that, absolutely, like my main agenda was to democratize this candle and take
Right.
it out from the luxury segment to a lifestyle segment where people find it more accessible and people find it affordable as well. Like I mentioned,
Right.
like my candles start from 99 rupees. So I think every budget, would basically have a candle, right? So,
Correct.
and if it doesn't go beyond 500, right? So it's 100 to 500. That is the range of my entire collection of 20 plus designs, right? So I feel that's what I mentioned earlier also, right? Talking about margins and all. So it's a very conscious decision that you take, and that
Right.
is that is the entire idea, or the principle behind making candles easily accessible, and that too, like, what do I say, 100% natural candles,
Right. Right.
which do not burn with any soot or anything.
Right. So that's a very interesting point you make about pricing as well, and going like talking a little bit more about the research bit, because considering you're entering like as you mentioned earlier that there weren't many brands who were making these sculpture based candles, or these kind of candles, and that's when you wanted to get into this market. So when you were initially pricing these, also keeping in mind that you want to sort of establish your brand as a brand that is, a lifestyle brand, in the sense, the candles that you make will be lifestyle. It'll be a lifestyle product and not a luxury one. So initially, did you like only on the basis of your research did you decide the pricing point and how much you want to sell them at, or did you actually look at how much it actually costs to make one particular candle, like maybe a smaller one which is for 99 rupees, as you say, either that, Or was it, did you have like a small testing group where you sent out these candles to a bunch of your friends and you told them to, sort of just just light it up and use it and see how it is and just give me honest feedback because I'm trying to do this. So like my question basically is coming from a point where if somebody would want to start a business similar to yours, what are the steps that they could follow in their initial stages so that, they cover most of the grounds, if not all?
Right. So, Nikhil, there are two folds, okay? Of this question. The
Correct.
answer comes in two folds. So, first is understanding the purpose of your brand, right? So, there
Right.
are brands which sell scented jar candles at exorbitant prices, and I can tell you, I won't go on the margins again, but I can tell you for sure that it's really profitable, okay?
Right.
But then again, the purpose that drives a lot, right? That on the pricing point. So what I did, I'll talk about my personal experience. So while trying to price my products, what I technically did was, see, there are a lot of costs, right, that you need to incur when you're making these things. So the more you test, the more you understand, like, what are the different costs that you can incur, right? Like the raw materials cost, the making charges, then the marketing charges, all those. Just split the cost into various components, right?
Correct.
And then come up with the total cost that you, basically incur to make, say, 1 unit of any particular candle, right?
Correct.
Then you set up a margin. Like, okay, so I can't go below this because it's, a labor of love, but I would still want to, earn through it. So you set that margin, and then, you put the price that falls in that. Plus minus 2-3% is still manageable, but this is how I did it. The only catch here is that the reason why I said plus minus 2-3% is because of the inflation, right? So if you see waxes and oils, like fragrance oils and waxes, these are very volatile components, okay, and their prices they keep fluctuating, right, time to time. So that is one part which I have to take a hit sometimes. But as I've progressed from, say, 2021 to this year, I have tried accommodating those things so that people don't suddenly feel like a spike in, the prices of my products, because that is not a healthy way of dealing with, price hikes.
Correct.
That's all. Like I said, first it's, the motive and the purpose why you are starting this. That determines a lot, that what kind of margin you're looking for. So once when you're clear with the margin, then you just divide the cost components and then just set up the price accordingly.
That's lovely. I think that's great advice to anybody who's starting out. But of course, you would have much more clarity because, on this, because you're handling literally everything. So maybe, you could give other people more advice on, like, basically every component that is required to, run a small business. So yeah, talking about that a little bit more, how, like, you were telling us that you initially started selling out of, selling on Instagram and, like maybe other platforms as well. So, like, how did you eventually get to, creating a website of your own from Instagram?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and I think people should know this. So when I started off, I started selling on Instagram predominantly, right? And then the process is very simple, which everyone follows these days. You just DM me with what you like. Maybe we can discuss on the color aroma options, and then I tell you the price. It's like an upfront payment. You need to pay me online, and then I accept your order, and then I ship it in the next 1 or 2 days, right?
Correct.
So that was going fine. Last year predominantly was that. Till 2021, end of the year, I used to take orders only through DM. But one thing that I realized, that Instagram DM is not the most optimal way of running a business, right? Doesn't matter how small or big it is. You should have like a proper structure, right? A brand grows when it gets a structure, And I
Right.
feel, say for example, I'll just give you a very, very small example. Suppose, at say 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the night, a prospective buyer DMs me with their requirement. It's just not possible for me to be available at that time.
Correct.
And by
Yeah.
the time, say in the morning, I reach out to them, they might not have the same, intensity or the will
Enthusiasm.
to
Yeah.
purchase my product. So there's
Right.
a loss in terms of opportunity for me there, right? And secondly, customer experience. So customer experience is a key, again, like a key principle for me. So it's fine if it does not matter how big is your purchase, but I always try, to give a very good experience to my, customers and clients. So the only way out for that was transitioning from Instagram DMs or say Facebook marketplace to a properly structured website, right?
Right.
So the journey was clearly not smooth. Very frankly speaking, I even had a developer who actually created a website for me, but it was on WordPress. And then later
Right.
I realized that a lot of brands do have websites on WordPress, but apparently it's not very safe in terms of data, right, and security. So I decided to not go through that route, and I explored a lot. Okay, like trying setting it up with some different platforms. I won't take the names, but finally I landed up on Instamojo. So I was on a free plan for a month to check like the pulse, right? To check the health of my business when I transitioned from DM to a website. Because see, when you order from a website, right? Like I said, structure is important. That experience matters, right? When you say order from big brands like Amazon, Flipkart through the app, it's very convenient, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to technically talk to anyone. You can see what all options you have. You can see what all color aroma options again that is offered. You can see the price, shipping, return or refund policies, different everything, terms and conditions, everything laid out to you. So
Right.
you don't really have to depend on anyone to just make a purchase. You just go there. It's like a very smooth process. And I saw a little bit of spike in my sales when I actually transitioned from Instagram DM to website, because I spoke about the opportunity loss, right? When people ping at odd hours, and then those are the basically prospects that you lose out. So those kind of that number declined drastically for me, and that was a trigger for me to actually go ahead with Instamojo's growth plan. I think that is the highest plan that you have on the platform right now, right?
Right now, yeah.
So, yeah. So I feel like if I talk about the platform, right, it's very easy to use, right?
Correct.
So, like I said, like I'm in the analytics domain, and I don't really have much those developer sort of background. So it was not a rocket science to figure out, right, like what exactly do I want to put up. So the operations of it is extremely simple, and that is the reason why I actually went ahead and decided to stick to Instamojo, because I really like how easy it is to operate, like in terms of interface or building up my online store and everything.
Right.
So yes, I mean, after that, even for me, I save a lot of time that I don't have to spend on the ends, right? So it works both ways. It improves, customers' experience. It is very optimal, and it is very desirable also. And one more thing, I have seen brands, even I myself had this misconception for a long time, where I felt like I don't have enough followers to, have a website on my own. I think that does not matter. Number of followers, number of likes, of course, I mean, you need to create a niche, but that would not determine whether or not you need to move, basically make a shift from Instagram DMs to, a website.
Right, yeah. That's very
also, like,
correct.
Having a website puts a lot of authenticity here, right, on the brand. People have more faith on the product that they buy, because it's very structured and organized.
Correct. Plus, it also helps you establish your brand, in a better way. You have more
Absolutely.
flexibility
Absolutely.
in terms of, how you want to represent your brand and what you stand for through your website. You have a lot more control. So yeah, that's wonderful. So I mean, what I also wanted to understand was that like like a conscious decision to sort of deal with competition in a certain way, that you saw a bunch of competitors also doing business through their own e-commerce like website. Was it on the basis of that, or was it, I mean, of course, as you have mentioned, that it does help you also, considering you're like a one woman show and you're doing everything by yourself. I'm pretty sure an e-commerce website, like an online store for yourself, it will help you largely sort of automate a lot of things, especially, the ordering bit. And even you also have an analytical background. So, with the SEO bit and all of those tools that are available, all of that aside, was it also a conscious decision to sort of, tackle the competition and looking and reading at the current market situation? Was that also part of the decision making process?
Right. So, see, like I follow very few. I mean, the kind of brands that I follow, they're extremely good, right? I personally don't believe that I should be better than some XYZ, very, very strictly speaking, because this is art that we create and we are selling. No art is greater than any other art, right? You cannot really compare that and compete. But yes, if I had to answer this question right directly, few of my major competitions, they established a website like they're establishing it now. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, I won't say that it was competition driven, honestly, because but one of the key reasons why was to make my brand more, aware. I mean, make people aware of my brand, right?
Correct.
To create brand awareness. That was
right.
the main motive. And see, competition will be there, right? Because everyone is trying to do something on their own. So competition definitely would be there, and that is the reason why businesses have their own trade secrets, right? So moving to a website was, I won't say that it was because, so that I can deal with competition better. But yes, businesses have their own awareness, because I believe that only when people know about my brand and my product, then only they come, to my website. Because there are brands which just started and they already have a website, right? So it's more on, the strategy that comes into play, right? More on what you're planning.
Correct.
Competition, like, it is always a part of everything that you do, right? Whenever money comes in, there comes in competition. So, but yes, I wouldn't say that, I started it because I want to compete better with my competing brands, but I would want to make my brand, create brand awareness. So this year, my main agenda, if you say, like, so I just do a little bit of planning at the beginning of every year around, okay, what are the key goals that I need to set for my brand and how do I achieve those, right? Given that I handle everything on my own, and I also have a full-time job, and so I just try to balance it out, right? So when I do that, one of the key goals of Bumblebee Candles this year is to increase brand awareness, right? Because only if people know that, okay, there's a brand which sells these kind of products, only then, your customers grow. I mean, your customer segment grows and your sales grow up.
Right.
And to create brand awareness, what are the things that I need to do? Run more campaigns, more optimal campaigns, make a website so that people find the brand more authentic. Website is like a certificate of authentication, I would say, as per me. Because when you are collecting payments from an authorized, payment collecting unit, then it kind of brings a faith, right?
Right.
So then you know that, okay, there is some entity working behind this website. So if I don't, a lot of time, I have come across people say that saying that, oh, I've never ordered online because I've been scammed so many times. And that this is a major concern also. If you look at the current situation or the current market situation, it is a big concern for customers out there who are shopping online because they get scammed. And the only way, I believe, not the only way, but the better way to get out of this is to have that uh, authentication certificate of authentication. And I believe that comes from a website, right? When you just open something, you know that, okay, so in the terms and conditions also, if you read, like, it's clearly stated that who do you need to contact, the email ID, everything, right? Location, everything. So that is how people are aware of your brand, and that is how people you build faith, in people you help people build that faith in your brand.
Right. That's very rightly spoken. Yeah, I think that covers that bit. Like, I personally would want to, I would personally want you to talk a little bit about maybe, just like one final thing before we, end this session for the day. As you've mentioned that, you do everything from top to bottom inside the company. So I'm pretty sure there are advantages to that, but at the same time, I'm sure there are disadvantages as well. So maybe if you could just quickly talk about that for, because I'm sure everybody who wants to start out, who's watching us, who would want to start their business, start doing something of their own, it'll be a one-man show or a one-woman show at the beginning. So, maybe some tips and some advice that you'd have for them, something that they can, prepare themselves for better.
Right. So, Nikhil, honestly speaking, like you rightly mentioned, that I do all of it. When I say all of it, from funding to R&D to operations, logistics, order handling, website handling, then, marketing, and the photography part as well, right? All the photo shoots and everything. So there are a lot of these firefighting tasks that I have to cater to on a day-to-day basis to keep my brand, going. But again, it is not the most optimal way, because if you are planning to scale up your business, you cannot be, doing these kind of firefighting tasks, right? You have to delegate certain things, right, out of your plate so that you have more time to strategize.
Correct.
So that is the thing, that the only con of handling it single-handedly is the scaling up part. And the pros, if I have to talk about it, is I don't have to depend on anyone. That is, I feel, a major, advantage, because I like doing things in a certain way, right? I like packing things in a certain way. I like making it in a certain way. There's a science behind it, and I like, things going my way. So until and unless I have that space and the time, okay, to mentor someone and, just teach them how to do these things, I will not be satisfied, because I have a standard that I need to maintain, right? And just improve on that, right? So it's very important for me to give that time to someone so that I can, actually transition my responsibilities to them.
Right.
So right now I do not have that, right? So no, I don't think anytime soon I'll have it, in probably in the next few years. But I'm okay with how it is growing up. Definitely it has grown from how it was in 2020, in the year 2021. 2022 has just started. Just to reiterate, on my previous points, I still feel that, candles, people are yet to, get used to candles being a lifestyle product, right? Because that is why you see a lot of sales during festive seasons, right? Other cycles, it's not that much, but during festivities, it's like tenfolds, right?
Correct.
So idea is to normalize that to some extent. See, of course, there will be sales cycles, but throughout the year, there should be, a consistency. If it becomes tenfolds during Diwali, it should be at least somewhere between, 6 to 7 folds at other time of the year. So that is the mission. That is where I aim to, reach. And I would probably aim that single-handedly till the time I realize that, till the time I feel that I'm comfortable handing over my responsibilities to a team and then, scaling up my business.
Right. Wonderful. I think more than the responsibility, but it'll be, the letting go of, the smaller things that, this is how I wanted to be packed and this is what I wanted to look like. So maybe once that vision is transferred more than the responsibility bit, I think that's when, you'll be slightly more at peace. But
it's more like an emotion, I feel, and you cannot really expect anyone else to share it until,
correct.
If I had someone as a co-founder, say, right,
Right.
then they would share the same sort of emotion that I do, when it comes to my brand. And it's very hard to actually inculcate that emotion into someone who I would hire, right?
Correct.
Because it might not have the same value. It might not hold the same value for them as much as it does to me. So that is like,
that obviously is the biggest challenge for anybody, I think, who wants to hire or who wants to delegate responsibility. But I'm pretty sure that'll happen because, as you said, you've already mentioned that as long as you know your product and you know what your business stands for and you have that clarity, I think, you'll be able to transfer those qualities as well that much better when, the clarity is that good. But that I think brings us to the end of the session. Thank you so much, Srija, for talking to us and actually, giving us such informative and precise, to the point answers. I think it has, I'm pretty sure it has greatly helped everybody who's joined this session, who are still watching and who had joined. I'm pretty sure it has helped them a lot. So thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, Nikhil. I'm delighted to be a part of, this session today. It was a great conversation. I finally feel like I'm heard, right, of the things that I do. So that means a lot. And it was a great session. Thank you for hosting.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll be talking again soon.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.